Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for this monthly AMA. I appreciate you tuning in for an hour or so to hear what we have been up to, and of course, to, as usual, answer your questions. And as we normally do, we have a number of good questions that I'm going to cover in as much detail as I can. You can also still post questions during the AMA. We may or may not get them all covered, but otherwise they will go to the next AMA. So don't be shy. Um, what has happened since we last met? There's been a couple of major industry events: the Paris Blockchain Week, the Dubai Token 2049. I guess are the most notable. I was present at both of them. I think they were very dominated actually by a lot of AI interest, which sits well with what we're also looking at the moment. Obviously, this is probably the biggest disruption that I've seen in my lifetime, and a whole range of issues that are relating to this, as well as, of course, a lot of opportunity. So that was quite dominant in parts of the two conferences. The Dubai event was extraordinarily impacted by very heavy rainfall. So you were like walking knee deep in water in Dubai, which disrupted a lot of side events and a lot of meetings. Even a lot of people were rerouted back when trying to land in the airport. So fairly disrupted, but it was still useful, and quite a lot of people made it there. We had a side event there, which had a fair amount of people signing up for it. I think it's about 170 or something. Not all of them made it there due to the extreme weather conditions. This was incidentally the worst storm in the area for 75 years. So not something that Dubai or Abu Dhabi were that well equipped to handle. So that caused some disruption. I had some good conversations as always at both of these events. I also had an interesting trip to Rome where we discussed some ideas with some pretty big public public what do you call them, big tourist attractions and stuff like that are looking to digitalize their experience and trying to add things to that. So it's been quite a constructive month. I think the most interesting part of the month that has just gone by, though, has been a lot of reactions to our AI announcement, to the videos about digital avatars, and the concerns around how do you verify and authenticate that. That sits quite well with our core narrative around ID, which can logically be extended to machine ID and AI agent ID to document various processes in an AI models development, to document the data integrity and exactly what data was available at what time. So we've had quite a few people reaching out to explore more what we can do there, because clearly both companies, investors, public sector regulators recognize that there's a very big risk of an explosion of deep fakes, etc. The famous Warren Buffett was out recently saying that to him, after having seen a digital twin of himself that he felt was very convincing, that this is like a nuclear weapon to scammers and to deep fake, and he foresaw an explosion in this. So everybody's got their eye on the good things about AI, but also about the risks of AI and how can you actually trust anything in the future? Can you trust the source? Can you trust that it's actually the organization and the individual that it pretends to be that is actually behind it? Clearly, also there's a movement in AI to automatically identify stuff that is AI produced. Like you can also use AI for that, but that whole sort of coming together of those areas, I think sits very well with our core offering in terms of ID, verifiable credentials, etc. So I think this is an interesting space for us, and by judging by the many organizations that have reached out, I think that is verifying that it's a very real concern out there. So let me go to your questions, and please let me have the first question. What is reality verified? And that's very much in extension of what I just talked about. Reality verified is, you would say, a campaign tag that we attach to our communication around this area of authenticating and verifying, proving the identity of machines and AI agents, and it's sort of referring to the fact that you can't really protect against deep fakes and people scamming you, and there have been some really incredible stories also over the last month. I don't know if you saw this Hong Kong company being swindled out of $26 million because an employee thought that he was sitting with the CEO and a CFO and a couple of other leading officers of that company, and they instructed him to transfer money. But it turned out later that everybody else on the call were in fact digital avatars, right? So there's a problem about at this point at least identifying immediately what is not real or what is AI produced, and certainly even if you can verify it's AI produced, is it then authorized or not? What you can do, on the other hand, is that you can over time, and I think that might happen sooner than we would otherwise think, because I think there's going to be a real problem that many people are exposed to. You can actually verify what is reality, and that's what we're talking about here. Instead of sort of trying to catch every single scam out there or every single misrepresentation, maybe we can get people used to actually verifying what they are interacting with, that it is a real actor, it comes from the right sender, and over time make that sort of a standard procedure when you're interacting with something, whether that's something you believe to be an AI or not believe to be an AI, that'll be a natural reaction to try to verify that this is in fact what it sets out to pretend to be. So that's what we mean by reality verified. We're going to try to make it as easy for people to actually document that what they are sending out does come from them, and which organizations are behind it, which models, which agents are behind it, and who are responsible for them. So that's what we mean by reality verified. Next question, please. When can we expect the TVL and activity on the Euro E to start increasing? Well, I think we, as often is the case, we have to remember here that the Euro E is a project, is a use case building on Concordium. We try to support it in where we can. Also beginning to pay out certain parts of grants in Euro E, beginning to pay suppliers and external consultants, etc., people that we need to purchase stuff from, to get them used to accept payment in Euro E. And I'm sure that Euro E themselves have a number of projects where they're trying to increase the TVL and the activity. So really, I think the question should be directed to EuroE, just as in many cases when you ask things about the status of projects, we can say so much about our own impression and what we're trying to do to assist them, but in reality, the project itself would be better placed to give a full and detailed answer. Next question, please. What is the most robust use case in the pipeline that involves the transfer of some form of assets? Well, as you know, we have been building a historic real-world asset platform that makes it easier for people that want to build various solutions for real-world assets to engage with Concordium and to save them some of the hard work, give them a shortcut, if you will, to quicker deployment, so they don't have to build all of the basics themselves. I think that's something that will drive a number of use cases going forward, and we are already seeing people adopting this, and also the carbon credit platform that is related, but where you can have a marketplace for carbon credits. So in that area, we launched during the months. We launched Climify, which is a trading platform for carbon credits. They have done, I think, about 500,000 transactions or registrations per week in the early stages here. Another one that's coming up relatively soon, if it's not already launched, is Simply Tokenized, that tokenizes a whole range of different real-world assets that can then be bought and sold and transferred between people. So we have already existing cases, but also more in the pipeline. So for something to go and have a reference, see how that might work, I would say Climify and Simply Tokenize could be two suggestions. Next question, please. Cardano frequently mentions its extensive collection of over 200 academic studies. When can we expect the publication of the blue paper? Actually, I don't know if you are all familiar with the Concordium Blockchain Research Center at Aarhus University, but if you Google that, Concordium Blockchain Research Center, academic studies that are related to I think it's about 110 in there. So I'm into academic. Quite a as I understand, and it takes some time to produce, but I'm hearing we're talking end of Q2. Next question, please. The CEO position doesn't exist, and the CTO is changed frequently. Who's steering the ship, managing the crew, keeping the engine room running smoothly? Well, I think you're looking at who's steering the ship, because what I decided to do when we said goodbye to our last CEO was to sort of, for a period of time, expand my mandate as chairman of the Concordium Foundation. As I have also expressed, I want to go back to a more withdrawn chairman role as soon as I felt that we were ready for it. So we are in the process of several conversations with possible CEO candidates. I do believe that we will make a decision there relatively soon, but as it is an important role, I want to make sure that we make the right decision. So I'm not going to rush it, but rest assured that I also have an interest in going back to a more traditional chairman role. So it's work in progress. Same thing for the CTO. Interviews going on. That being said, in the meantime, as you probably saw, Nibras is moving up to the board level. So it's not that we are running without hands on the wheel there at the moment. I think the board position takes effect during this month, but Nibras is still around as board member and as a consultant to help transition to a new CTO. So both of those are works in immediate progress, I would say. Nobody is delaying it more than necessary, but it is, of course, important positions. We want to make sure that we explore the opportunities that are there, and of course, ultimately make the best possible decision for Concordium. So I'll say, everything is being steered, and the engine room is running smoothly, but there will be some upcoming appointments in the not too distant future. Of course, some of these people will have notice periods, etc. But so it could be a couple of few months, depending on candidate. But it's definitely work in progress and not something we are unduly delaying. But we just want to make sure we hear what opportunities are there and that we make the right decision. Next question, please. How do you create demand for CCD in the current market situation? I think it's a broad question. I think the best we can do is to continue to build a very solid and sound blockchain that actually works, to bring on more and more projects that actually use the blockchain to create transactions and create activity. So over time, that is what's gonna, I think, ultimately decide the success or failure of any blockchain. Is it being used, and to what extent, and with what level of frequency and intensity? So that is very much a focus area. That being said, I think I've adhered to it before. We're also looking at making the CCD more accessible through additional exchanges, on-ramps, etc. So it's a combination of making the project more solid, more active, more engaging, and getting more and more projects to involve with it, and of course also making the access to the CCD as relatively broad and easy as possible. Next question, please. Concordium, and how does Concordium intend to tackle it? I would say that I still don't think that we have the awareness that the project really deserves, and I'm hearing that from multiple people outside the company, but well versed in the industry, that we're actually sitting with an excellent piece of technology. We frankly have more traction than many blockchains. I think if we calculate on numbers of transactions, we're probably in the top 20, 25 globally. And a lot of projects coming on, including very serious corporates, but also people of more crypto native character, and bringing new innovative models to bear. We just touched a little bit on the real world assets, the tokenization area. So I think that the key thing here is awareness about the project, that people actually understand what it is we have here and what it is we have built over several years. And as you know, it's not for lack of trying to engage and run campaigns, etc. But it is a market crowded by a lot of messaging out there, and sometimes some messages are more engaging than others, irrespective of the quality of the underlying project. So I think if I should single out something that I would really like to improve, it is that more people know about Concordium, which is, of course, why we do some of the things we do, going to conferences, creating events, creating campaigns around use cases and applications. But again, as I often have said, you're very welcome to help with this. I think the perhaps strongest way that awareness of a project actually in this industry has spread has been through community engagement, community endorsement, community sharing, linking, liking, and getting more people to be aware of the project and what we actually have here. So please continue to do so. I know a lot of people are helping out already. We also have the more formalized ambassador program today. So it's very important that you out there also help us in this effort to make people really understand what a great blockchain we really have here that works and has worked for a long time, that doesn't go down as you see in some other cases, that does a lot of transactions and keeps bringing on interesting, substantial use cases. So please help us with that, and the awareness will of course grow over time if we all pull together in that direction. Next question, please. I'm so afraid of selling CCD and making awareness via influencers. We need something extra. Well, Concordium is a payment token, right? It's not something that we can go out through influencers and present as a speculative investment. And then the thing about many influencers is that is a job to hype and create FOMO and create the expectations from a retail public typically, and that's just not what we're doing, right? We are very happy for influencers to tell about the projects we do, to talk about the blockchain, to tell about the activity levels that we have, but we're not going to have them out there promoting the token per se, because it's not appropriate, and it's not what we do. So next question, please. It seems that events like meetups, conferences, online or in real life are important. Do you share this viewpoint? Are there plans to organize any such events dedicated to Concordium that could be seen as a task for the foundation? Well, I do believe that we are actually, I've already adhered to several things here. Participate in conferences is obviously not just me going. There was a small team with me on these conferences of events and meetups, and in doing one of our own. So I do believe that we are actually doing these things. I think, but more important for community to, I think, probably and long-term value producing than speaking to a bunch of retail people or presentation. Not many of these conferences, but in effect, you have a couple of stages. You have the same old suspects giving their presentations. You have a thoroughly unengaged audience, unless it happens to be like Vitalik or Michael Saylor. And I don't know how strong how much the value of that is, to be honest. I think creating developer communities, creating hackathons, engaging people that will actually build something on the chain is probably more important than sitting on a nice stage with a half-filled room and people checking their emails and their telegrams. So that's where I would put my focus, and that is, in fact, where we are putting our focus. But I agree that in particular, the development of a strong developer community is for something that we have stepped up our focus on in the last 6 months, not least through 2 additional hires for that. Incidentally, we did have also in past week, we had being quite technical around how do you build a smart contract on Concordium, how do you engage as a developer, and I think that is an important an important way to get the knowledge and understanding of our technology that out there. So that would be my primary focus rather than sort of speaking public. Next question. As a CCD investor, I'm disappointed that Concordium founders are not trying to be part of important TradFi DeFi projects like Bank of International. Excellent opportunity to let project. First of all, I think you got to be aware that there's a million things going on out there. There's a million companies looking at this, and obviously we can't be involved in everything under the sun. You're very welcome, and I appreciate you bringing certain initiatives to our attention, or companies that express a wish to go down the route where we could be relevant. Then we will definitely be interested in this. But take a thing like BIS Agora. As I understand that project, it is primarily a collaboration between 7 central banks that are introducing various financial institutions to come with their input on tokenization. Now, if there is a role there for Concordium to play, I will investigate it. On before going here online, there's where in order to be able to implement and prepare for the AI Act, it's still going on. I think it was a 2-hour meeting, but I had to step out for this. But other people are following that at the moment, and that's an example of something that we do. You'll be able to find examples of corporates we work with. You'll be able to find examples of corporates we don't work with, and probably more of the latter because it's a big world, right? You cannot assume every time you see something in a news channel that here's a company that's doing something with ID, then we should be all over it. We're talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of very small and big initiatives, but we do have a proactive reach out when we see something where we feel we could play a role. EU AI Pact is an example of that's very fresh in mind because that was this morning. But please, if you see something where it's evident that we could play a role, then we are very happy to reach out. So bring it to our attention in addition to all of the stuff we identify ourselves and have an outreach to. And we will do our best to assess whether it's something where we could make a relevant difference. And actually, when we do reach out, then it's often well received. So there is an incentive to do so. But I'm sure you as a community see many things in your local areas, etc., that we are not necessarily aware of just because there are so many. And we do have a number of other projects that we're working on. So always feel free to bring it to our attention, send it to the commercial team, even reach out to me on LinkedIn or Telegram for that matter. If you have something of relevance, feel free to let us know, and we will assess whether it's something we feel is a rational place to spend resources and to proactively reach out. That's very much appreciated. Next question, please. What I'd like to know is when we can expect a CEO and especially a new CTO. I think I already answered that. Ongoing processes. It's not something we unduly delay, but the ship is in good hands as is, and we want to make sure that we make the right appointments. So it's a matter of months, I would say, and hopefully not too many months, but we want to get this right. Next question, please. are we on delivering on what's on the still rather vague product roadmap? What about H2? Can we expect more activity in Q3 than last year? Well, incidentally, I think if you look at our website, concordium.com, and look on the product map, you you can see some of the headlines there. And actually, to save you the work, I just printed out several pages here of what's on that web page, and I think it'll be too much to go through that in detail. But I think actually you will see that we have delivered quite a lot in the first half, and we have quite ambitious plans for the second half. So I can just a few headline things is that in the second half we're looking at improved developer experiences, much in line with what I was mentioning with the developer community, to expose and expand the ID layer functionality, to follow up on this strategy around AI and other aspects. We are looking at portable compliance passports, being able to bring information that you have given once, so you don't have to give it 10 times, but can use it across various use cases. We're looking at further increasing the throughput and the scalability of the network. We are looking at ways to introduce Concordium and CCD to more external communities, and the list goes on. So I would recommend that you go to our website where there are descriptions of what's on the product roadmap, and actually we have a product roadmap update tomorrow. So I assume that internally, so I assume that will lead to also an update in the near future to what we show on the website. But concordium.com/roadmap should tell you some of the more important headlines that we are working on. Next question, please. This commitment to sustainability, just looks like there's a line missing there somehow. But anyway, ensuring cocoa bean traceability. Okay, it's a long question, but it's about a company called Tom's Group that believe that there should be stronger track and trace on cocoa beans in the global market. It's actually quite relevant. I happen to know quite a lot about cocoa beans because I used to be part owner of a plantation in Nicaragua, Guatemala, and Honduras, where we had various activities in this area by producing very fine cocoa. You have low quality cocoa, you have fine quality cocoa, and actually their traceability of what is the quality of that particular cocoa is very relevant. So this is sort of an example of, yes, there's a company doing something interesting. In this case, actually, I could reach out to my old friends in that area and hear their take on it, because given that they're fine cocoa producers, they would have a particular interest in securing traceability and provenance of a high quality product. So we'll have a look into it, but I think it also falls a little bit into the category. There is a lot of stuff going on out there, and we need to prioritize where it's reasonable for us to participate and where not. But this actually has a personal interest seen from my point of view. So I'll check up with my old partners in the cocoa plantation if we can do something relevant there. Next question, please. With all-time low after all-time low, I wonder what is planned to improve liquidity and visibility. Is the team ready to evaluate past efforts, to reconsider what works and what doesn't work? We have a DEX, a bridge, and apparently now also a trading pair on Uniswap. I think there are enough examples of competitors to incentivize people to provide liquidity, use a bridge, or trade on a DEX. Of course, we evaluate past efforts on an ongoing basis, and And as I think I've stated before, it is a focused objective to increase liquidity and availability and access to CCDs through various means, which could be centralized exchanges, which could be DEXs, which could be bridges that enable interaction and interoperability with other blockchains. So I think we are very aware of this awareness thing that I also spoke about before. And I do feel that we are continuously evaluating both what we've done in the past, but certainly maybe with more importance what we're going to do in the future. I do agree that we should have increased incentives for people to provide liquidity and trade, and that's actually something we are looking at the moment. How can we make it more attractive for people to get involved with the bridge, with Concordix, with other places where you can trade, and you see recent listing on LCX and a trading campaign there. You'll see more of that nature, which is all about really getting people to find it interesting to engage with Concordium and with CCD. Next question, please. Take into account that David and other community members have to keep asking questions to get updates on the ecosystem growth and project status. I wonder if Concordium is willing to take a more proactive stance towards communicating the value. It is just ridiculous considering there's so much more happening already than on other L1s. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think we do communicate quite a lot about what we have of new projects, but we're also enticing these projects to themselves share more information, and I appreciate the desire from the community to understand how is it progressing in different projects. Always appreciate David's very considered and intelligent questions and articles, etc. So yes, I do believe that we could do even more there, and I think it's also a matter of making very clear to the use cases and projects that it's very much in their own interest to provide this information, because that might give them a bigger community. It might get more people to engage with them. So we will actually emphasize that in future grants, etc. That a part of the condition for that would be a regular update to the community about how they're progressing, etc. But in the meantime, I would certainly recommend all projects, apart from our joint announcements and our joint updates, to simply engage with the community. We see some people doing it a lot. Xerix is one good example where I think there's a lot of information about what that company is doing, and a number of other companies, Digital Social ID, Pixpel, others are, I think, good at doing this, and others are more laid back and more limited in their communication. I actually think Climify also have communicated a lot recently, but absolutely also from my side to all of the projects and use cases that are interested in this. Some of the big corporates maybe have less interest in that. They just want to build on a solid blockchain and improve their processes. But certainly many of the more crypto native type projects should have a very clear own interest in people knowing more about their project. When we can, of course, aim to enforce it by saying that you have to, but I also believe that it's very much in your own interest to do it. So if any of the projects and use cases that are not communicating so much are here on this AMA, listen to the community. They want to hear more about you. If you need some help for us in terms of formatting or templates, we're happy to help, but also I think you should take that as a very good opportunity to promote what you're doing, that the community is actually asking for it. Next question, please. My PP4 purchase is currently worth around €300. LCX deposit campaigns gives me $50 worth of CCD if I deposit 100K of CCD to LCX exchange as founder and current CEO. Why should I keep the CCD and not sell it right away for easy reward? I can't go into details of an exchange campaign because that's something the exchange decides. Of course, for an exchange, it's about attracting new business. So I think that's the thinking, I would guess, behind giving an incentive to transfer deposits and go through the account opening process. And it's also to ensure that there's trading activity on their exchange and there's engagement from their users. So I can't answer you specifically on the thinking of one exchange. It's their campaign, it's their rewards, but I think you should expect that it's a combination of wanting to attract new users and wanting to create more engaged users on that particular exchange. Next question, please. CCD has decreased by approximately 77% in the past 12 months and 97% since its ICO. Any thoughts on this? Yeah, many thoughts. A couple of clarifications. I would say we have never done an ICO. We have done private placements, and there's been some on-ramps that offered access to CCDs, but we have not done a formal ICO and have done private placements in various rounds. Second clarification, although it's nothing to be proud of, we're not down 77% in the past 12 months, but more around 47%. I just checked it before I went in here, but that's obviously nothing to be proud of, but just to get the numbers right. I think I'm as frustrated as many of you are. I'm also a little bit perplexed because, as we have heard already, and other people have pointed out, there's actually quite a lot going on this blockchain. As I mentioned, we're doing quite well on transactions. The technology is very solid. It functions without incident. So I think it's about the awareness that we already discussed, and I'm, to be honest, I'm fairly perplexed at it because as I see other projects that get a lot more attention, but in my view, with probably less reason to have it. But my thoughts is, of course, that in the long run, people tend to recognize quality, and I hope that's what's going to happen here. And in the meantime, you have to respect how the market looks at things and tough it out while the market does what it wants to do. And maybe it never wants to do anything else, but I do find it quite perplexing given all of the things we already discussed in this AMA, because I actually think we have world-class cryptographic science behind us. We have very, very solid tech. We have one of the quickest finality times in the business. We have good throughput and scaling it, and we actually have people using the blockchain. So go figure. You tell me. Next question, please. And that's the last question, so it's going to be a little bit shorter than normal, but I'm sure you have other stuff to do in your life than watching me. A lot of sell pressure from Northstake and Team Seed last 30 days. Do you have some background information on why they're selling? Not really. I can't really comment on each actor's activities in the space. I can guess it, but it's not really for me neither to disclose information if I had it, or identities if I had it. Not that I do in these cases, but I think you'll have to ask those people yourself. If you can find them, you can venture some guesses. It could be tax reasons. Some of the selling we see sometimes are related to people having to pay tax on CCD allocations. It could be somebody that's not engaged with the project anymore. It could be a personal reason. I don't know. And even if I did, I think there's a right to privacy around your activities and your motivations. So I can't really delve into much detail in that. Not that I really have much detail either. So that was the last question. Thank you very much for tuning in again. Much appreciated. I think it's always very nice to have this monthly catch up. If you think of something after this AMA, feel free to send it to us, and we'll bring it up in the next one, which will be about a month from now. In the meantime, we talked a lot about awareness and what's actually going on this blockchain, and is that in a reasonable proportion between awareness and the quality of what we're actually doing. You can discuss that, but one thing is for sure, we can all help by increasing the awareness, by sharing things, by liking things, by talking about things in the ambassador program, by producing content. A lot of ways to spread the awareness here, and we play a role in that, but you certainly do too. And I know a number of you take that very seriously and help out as much as you can. I want to say I appreciate that. Keep it going, and try to always engage more people into the ecosystem, and appreciating what a great blockchain we have here. So thank you very much. I wish you a nice week. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you, if not before, I'll see you next month.